The story of the Indianapolis Colts begins long before their blue horseshoe became a symbol of Midwestern pride. It's a saga of ambition, resilience, controversy, and glory, one that stretches from the crowded streets of Baltimore in the early 1950s to the roaring Lucas Oil Stadium of the modern NFL. Their journey through decades of change reflects not just the evolution of a football team, but the shifting identity of a city and the sport itself. The roots of the Colts franchise trace back to 1953 when the National Football League granted a franchise to Baltimore after the Dallas Texans folded. The city embraced its new team with passion, and under the leadership of head coach Webb Eubank and quarterback Johnny Unitas, the Colts quickly became one of the most storied teams in professional football. Unitas, who had once been cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers and was playing semi-pro football for a few dollars a game, emerged as the heart of the franchise. His gritty determination, crew cut, and rocket arm made him a national hero and turned the Colts into champions. By 1958, the Colts were at the center of what many still call the greatest game ever played. The NFL championship that year against the New York Giants ended in the first sudden death overtime in league history, and the Colts won 23-17. Millions watched the televised broadcast, and that single game helped elevate the NFL into America's favorite sport. The Colts repeated as champions in 1959, cementing their dynasty. The Unitas era defined professionalism, toughness, and a style of play that set the stage for modern football. The 1960s were a mix of brilliance and heartbreak for Baltimore. The team continued to field stars like Raymond Berry, Lenny Moore, and Gino Marchetti, but the road to championships became steeper. Rivalries deepened, especially with the Green Bay Packers, led by Vince Lombardi. In 1968, the Colts seemed destined for another title with one of the greatest teams ever assembled. They went 13-1 in the regular season, dominated the NFL, and entered Super Bowl III as heavy favorites against the upstart New York Jets and their young quarterback, Joe Namath. But the unthinkable happened. The Colts lost, 16-7, in one of the biggest upsets in sports history. Namath's guarantee and the Jets' victory brought credibility to the AFL and changed football forever. For Baltimore, it was a humiliation they would never forget. In the 1970s, change came again. The AFL-NFL merger reshaped the league, and the Colts became part of the newly formed AFC. They bounced back with a Super Bowl victory in 1971, defeating the Dallas Cowboys 16-13 in Super Bowl V. That game was chaotic, full of turnovers, but the Colts prevailed and reclaimed their place among the elite. For fans, it was redemption after the Super Bowl III heartbreak. However, as the decade went on, the team began to decline. The retirement of Unitas and the loss of other key veterans left a void that was hard to fill. The second phase of the Indianapolis Colts journey begins in the aftermath of Andrew Luck's stunning retirement in 2019, a moment that sent shockwaves through the NFL and left the franchise at a crossroads. It wasn't just the loss of a quarterback, it was the loss of a generational leader who had carried the team through turmoil, rebuilds, and playoff battles. For years, the Colts had been defined by the excellence of their quarterbacks, first Peyton Manning, then Andrew Luck. Suddenly, there was a void that seemed almost impossible to fill. Jim Irsay, known for his emotional investment in the team, refused to let the franchise slip into mediocrity. The challenge was monumental, to rebuild a team capable of contending without a superstar under center. The 2020s would test every aspect of the Colts' identity, from front office decisions to locker room leadership, coaching strategy, and fan loyalty. In the 2020 season, veteran quarterback Philip Rivers was brought in to stabilize the team. Rivers, known for his fiery competitiveness and leadership, gave Indianapolis a spark. Under head coach Frank Reich, who had once been Rivers' offensive coordinator in San Diego, the Colts found rhythm and confidence. They finished with an 11-5 record, earning a playoff berth. Though they were eliminated in the wild card round by the Buffalo Bills, it was a respectable showing, a sign that the team could still compete among the league's best even without Luck. Rivers retired after that season, and the Colts were back in search of stability. In 2021, they acquired Carson Wentz, another former Reich protege, hoping that he could rediscover his MVP-caliber form. At times, Wentz showed flashes of brilliance, especially behind one of the league's strongest offensive lines led by Quentin Nelson. Running back Jonathan Taylor emerged as a superstar, dominating defenses with power, speed, and vision. His 2021 campaign was historic, over 1,800 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns. Taylor's breakout season gave fans something to cheer for, and his performances kept the Colts competitive throughout the year. But inconsistency haunted the team. Despite strong mid-season runs, crucial late losses kept them from solidifying their playoff spot. The 2021 season ended in heartbreak when the Colts lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the final week, a stunning defeat that knocked them out of postseason contention. The loss was a wake-up call, signaling that the team needed not just talent, but leadership and direction. By 2022, the franchise was searching for answers. They traded Wentz, brought in veteran Matt Ryan, and hoped his experience could bring calm and efficiency. Yet, the season spiraled quickly. The offensive line, once dominant, regressed, and the team's rhythm collapsed. The Colts finished with a disappointing record, leading to the firing of Frank Reich. In a surprising and controversial move, Jim Irsay appointed former Colts center and fan favorite Jeff Saturday. The third act of the Indianapolis Colts journey unfolds in a season that feels like destiny realized. The 2025 campaign has become more than a redemption story, it's a symbol of what perseverance, patience, and purpose can achieve. For years, the Colts wandered through uncertainty, rebuilding and redefining themselves with every setback. Now, as autumn turns to winter, they stand at the center of the NFL spotlight, their resurgence complete, their ambition unwavering. The 2025 Indianapolis Colts entered the season with cautious optimism. They weren't favored to dominate, but there was something different about this team, an unspoken belief that they were ready. The pieces had finally aligned, a balanced roster, a maturing quarterback, a coach who understood modern football, and a locker room built on accountability and unity. That mix, rare in the NFL, transformed the Colts from underdogs into contenders. Anthony Richardson, now fully healthy and in command of the offense, became the embodiment of that transformation. His play combined the precision of a veteran with the creativity of a new generation athlete. Week after week, he led the Colts with poise beyond his years, reading defenses, escaping pressure, and delivering throws that drew comparisons to some of the greatest quarterbacks in the league's history. His leadership was quiet yet powerful, he didn't need fiery speeches to inspire his team. His preparation, humility, and competitive fire spoke louder than words. Behind Richardson stood one of the league's most dynamic rushing attacks. Jonathan Taylor returned to peak form, blending strength and speed in ways that left defenders grasping at air. His partnership with Richardson created a nightmare for defenses, the threat of the quarterback run opened up lanes, while Taylor's dominance on the ground made play-action passes lethal. Every Sunday, the Colts executed with precision, methodically breaking down their opponents and asserting control. The offensive line, a longtime point of pride for Indianapolis, rediscovered its dominance. Quentin Nelson, still the heart of that unit, anchored a group that embodied toughness and unity. Their protection gave Richardson time to create, and their run blocking turned short gains into breakaway plays. The synergy between the line, the backs, and the quarterback became one of the defining features of the 2025 Colts, a machine that ran not on ego, but on rhythm and trust. On the defensive side, the Colts had quietly built one of the most balanced and underrated units in the league. DeForest Buckner continued to dominate the trenches, while Zaire Franklin's leadership and ferocity set the tone for the linebackers. The secondary, once considered a weakness, evolved into a strength. Young cornerbacks matured into shutdown defenders, and the safeties played with both intelligence and aggression. The defense didn't rely on flashy plays, it relied on consistency, discipline, and relentless EF.